I'm Tanner Caldwell. I'm the driver.
You're named after the city?
I'm the mastermind behind all of this. I'm also extremely humble.
Hi, I'm Adelia. I proposed this trip, and I'm the navigator.
This is Frosted Flakes, the ambassador of Mars.
Frosty. Hey. It's hot.
My buddy Paris, he left his job at the theater where we all work. Went on to be a park ranger at Arches.
Yes, Dave & Buster's. In the women's restroom, I threw them shots of vodka from my manager. Fuck! I almost got
it. Well, if you ever plan to motor west, Jack, take my way. It's the highway, that's the best. Get your kick on Route 66.
And, you know, although I was going to miss him, I knew that this is what he wanted to do. He had talked about it so much. He had all the Canyonlands and Arches stickers all over his water bottle that he brought to work every day. I was so excited for him. And
I pissed all over my feet. I thought there'd be more nature. I don't know what the fuck I was expecting.
You know, half-heartedly was like, maybe we'll come visit you. And I didn't think that would, you know, turn into reality. There's definitely been some hiccups, but it wouldn't have been nearly as fun without him. And this trip couldn't have turned out better than I, you know, could have ever thought. And if you really like the show The Bear, yeah, that's not it.
You've been here enough. You gotta stop watching.
My name is Paris. I live here in the Moab area because I work for the Park Service as an interpretive ranger at Arches. I have kind of like a lifelong connection to Arches National Park and the Moab area. I was born in Salt Lake, or near Salt Lake in Ogden, and my parents would take me down here. So I have some very kind of like early, very fond memories of it because it's so unique. Like, you don't really have a place with this color palette and a landscape of this scale everywhere in the country. And I think coming out here is something that people should experience at least once. Because we talked earlier about how when you're in a desert environment like this, there's a lack of stimuli that is, I think, very healthy for the brain, where there is a lot of like stillness and open space, and in a very technical sense, like, it kind of seems like there's not a lot happening, but there is a lot happening under the surface. What we're looking at all around us is the result of millions and millions and millions of years of like geological processes, biological processes. A lot of the plants that we have out here in an environment like this are you know, hundreds of years old. Like, a lot of the juniper trees that we have out in the park have existed for centuries, you know. A lot of the plant life out in the park has existed since before, you know, the National Park Service was a presence in the area, before like any tourists really knew about this area. And of course, there has been a history of human habitation in here, you know, with the indigenous peoples, the ancestral Pueblo and the Fremont peoples. Those are prehistoric indigenous groups that have been around for, you know, some people think around like 10,000 years. Things just move really slowly out here in the desert, and that's kind of what I find fascinating about it. And then in my ranger program about art in the park, I talk about what visually it is about this landscape that brings people back, especially like creatives. You know, we're talking like filmmakers, artists of all kinds, painters, writers. As an adult, I was kind of drawn back to this place from books and like writing that different people had put out about this landscape and how unique it is. And I love having those conversations because you can't really find a landscape like this anywhere else. It's the color palette, you know, it's that orange and blue on the opposite side of the color wheel. I love bringing that up in the program because if I have any kids in there, especially like elementary school kids who are in an art class, who are just learning about the color wheel for the first time, that kind of gives them a chance to exercise that knowledge we talk about the sense of scale, like we talked about in the car, like you can see all the way to the horizon and you don't really have anything blocking your view. It gives your mind a lot of space to wander and to think about things in a really kind of unadulterated way. And then also just like the rock formations themselves, they're all kind of like otherworldly. That whole thing about arches being kind of natural frames to the rest of the world. This is a very unique area, and it's really hard to explain why if you don't come out here and kind of see it yourself. I think a lot of people coming from like other parts of the country, because working for the NPS, you see people from all over the country and all over the world. When they first come down here, they're like, oh, it's a desert. Like, what is there to even see in a desert? Like, what is there of value in a place like this? But once you spend enough time out here, you start to realize where the value lies. And it's not necessarily in an abundance of things, but it's in an appreciation of the things that are here and kind of a respect for the ways that they've